Hi, and welcome to our radical debate. In this debate, I will be talking about how the Jasmine Revolution benefited the people of Tunisia. The Jasmine Revolution began when a man named Mohammed Mzizi set himself on fire on December 17, 2010. This was in protest of the confiscation of his vegetable stand and the harassment and humiliation inflicted upon him by an officer and her aide. This act was the primary catalyst of the revolution. The Tunisian people were already aggravated by the corrupt government and demanded democracy be put in place. The Tunisian people did not want to be controlled by a dictator anymore. Therefore, it was necessary for the Tunisian people to overthrow Ben Ali through a revolution in order to ensure democracy, equal rights, and freedom for all. My first point would be when Ben Ali was elected president of Tunisia in 1987 and has been in power since 2011. Considering that he was the second president in the country's history, Ali had developed a bad reputation as a corrupt leader in his last year of power. A Tunisian court sentenced Ben Ali and his wife in absentia to 35 years in prison on June 20th for charges of theft and unlawful possession of cash and jewelry. Soon after, Ben Ali was sentenced for life imprisonment for inciting violence and murder and given another life sentence by a military court in April 2013 for violent repression of protests in the small town of Sfax. This has led to more freedom for the people of Tunisia. Following my first point, my second point is when Tunisia recovered from the revolution and the protests calmed down, they decided to finish the new constitution and open a new doorway to change. OpenDemocracy.net said that Tunisian Constituent Assembly, under the people's ever-watchful eye, successfully negotiated a new and modern constitution. The constitution, which ensures freedom of religion and women's rights, took 2 years to finish. However, my third point shows more hope of equal rights when the revolution ended and the new constitution was finished. Unemployed men and women who needed jobs gained them as the new constitution established rights that they had not previously had, which led to more opportunities to live a more successful life. HuffingtonPost.com said that all male and female citizens have the same rights and duties. They are equal before the law without discrimination, and since the 1950s, when it gained independence from France. Now Tunisia has had the Arab world's most progressive law on women's rights, although men remain privileged, notably over inheritance, and some suspected now of wanting to roll back those rights. Now further research showed there being more democracy in the Tunisian society. In conclusion, a new legal framework guaranteeing freedom of association has given new ideas to men and women to be more equal.
Let's go, Jeannie.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Jeffrey. I agree that the Tunisia or Jasmine Revolution did have the benefit of providing women with equal rights, thanks to a new constitution that established a personal status code which granted men and women equal rights. Earlier, the proposition team mentioned that a benefit of the revolution was that democracy replaced dictatorship. I disagree with that statement. Dictatorship provided Tunisia with authority, stability, and allowed the country to make decisions faster and more efficiently, as the power lay in the hands of one person, unlike democracy. Democracy can easily become a corrupt government, and after the revolution, it did not do anything to solve the problems that came up during the revolution. The revolution did not benefit the people of Tunisia. Two major drawbacks caused by the revolution were increased unemployment rates and hundreds of deaths occurring post-revolution due to police attacks and suicides. One of these drawbacks is unemployment, especially in the younger population, with people aging from 15 to 25 years old. One of the causes of the revolution was youth unemployment and the people's desire to change it. 15 to 25-year-olds make up 20% of the population, but they are 40% of the people who are unemployed. This was caused mainly by the Arab Spring and the revolution. The unemployment percentage was 14% pre-revolution and was 18% in 2011 during the revolution, but now is still at a high of 17%, which is outrageous compared to the normal 5%. People who graduate from college have a 1 in 3 chance of not getting a job, compared to the average of 14%. The security situation that happened since the Arab Spring has made the country lose huge amounts of money on tourist revenue. Lack of tourists has made the people lose their jobs, which yields more unemployment. Another disadvantage for the people of Tunisia was the number of deaths that have occurred since the revolution. According to Fox News, 338 people died, and 2,147 were injured due to violence inflicted by the police and the citizens. The spark that started the Arab Spring and the revolution was when Mohammed Bouazizi set himself on fire. At his funeral, a crowd of 5,000 people chanted, "Farewell, Muhammad, we will avenge you. We weep for you today. We will make those who caused your death weep." His suicide caused wilder protests, leading to police shootings, brutality, and deaths. The police used tear gas on protesters who were protesting Muhammad's unfair treatment. Suicide became a tactic of protest. Mehdi Mabrik from University of Tunis says, "A culture which disdains the value of life, finding death an easier alternative because of a lack of values and a sense of enemy." In the end, how can a revolution benefit the people if the people's lives are more insecure politically, economically, and socially after the revolution? More people are unemployed, 338 people died, and suicide became an easier alternative to living due to unfair rights and treatment. The people of Tunisia were better off under the rule of a dictator when stability and authority were maintained. As I said earlier, the Tunisia revolution did not benefit the people.
It is true that unemployment in Tunisia has worsened since the revolution. Whereas the unemployment rate was 14% pre-revolution, and now is 17%. However, this was not the government's fault. There are still jobs available in Tunisia, not to mention room for entirely new businesses. As stated by BBC.com, 70% of men in Tunisia are classed as participating in the workforce. But the newest members of the workforce, especially those with college degrees, may not be open to these opportunities. There are jobs and there is room for new businesses, but people are not taking advantage of the careers that are available in Tunisia. According to Site.org, the education in Tunisia is one of the best in the Middle East and North Africa. More Tunisian students are pursuing higher degrees than ever before, and for the first time since the government began investing more in education, the majority of these students are women. The people of Tunisia are not necessarily pursuing the careers that Tunisia needs. While Tunisia's unemployment may have gotten worse after the revolution, the education has improved, an indication of potential economic growth in the future. A 3% drop in unemployment rate is expected after a revolution, especially as the country tries to rebuild itself. The fact that more people are receiving an education sheds a positive light on the future of Tunisia. Jeffrey made some compelling arguments about how the political situation has improved in Tunisia. The people of Tunisia overthrew the dictatorship and replaced it with a democracy. Along with the new democracy, they wrote a new constitution, which enhanced the equal rights. We will point out how the quality of life for people in Tunisia has improved as well, thus benefiting the people of Tunisia.
The Tunisian Revolution helped to inspire other countries to start a revolution of their own. The Arab Spring was the rebellion of the Arab people against the tyranny of their country. When Mohammed Bouazizi set fire to himself after officials stopped him from selling vegetables, this triggered the revolution of Tunisia. Videos were shared of revolutionary events throughout social media. Soon, people in other Middle East countries knew of Tunisia's revolution and wanted to follow in their footsteps. Within days, protests all around the country popped up. Since the set-off of the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia, it has also triggered revolts in Egypt, Bahrain, Iran, and Syria. All of these countries are in a better state than they were before their revolutions. Thus, Tunisia can take credit for improving the quality of life and stability of other societies. Tunisia has established itself as a leader in the Arab world. Leading into our second point, this revolution provided opportunity to expand the use of social media in the Middle East. Social media has become a critical tool for the Arab Spring because it helped the citizens to express their frustration and spread awareness, along with being able to receive support from other countries. There were 2,400 tweets per day in surrounding countries. People from other countries were able to witness firsthand the events in Tunisia through the use of social media. Tunisia was able to assert themselves as a more meaningful member of the global community because of their social media. In conclusion, improved education, establishing itself as a global leader, and increased use of social media improved the quality of life of Tunisians since the revolution.
A revolution is what happens when people demand change for the better of the country, for the well-being of future generations. Yet we have seen this is not the case with the wonderful country of Tunisia. This so-called revolution has brought more problems than solutions. It has left us with problems that were seeded in the birth of the revolution and are now starting to grow, all covered by the thin layer of lies that equality and democracy bring. I'm not saying that these things are bad, rather saying that they should not be the sugarcoat of a bigger problem. As many have said, the first step to fix a problem is to accept you have one. The Tunisian revolution has brought forth more problems than promised solutions, solutions that inspired such a movement. The dethroning of past President Ben